All right, breaking news. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says that the framework for a deal has been reached to keep TikTok in the United States. Now, you might remember a bipartisan majority of Congress voted to effectively ban TikTok here because of Chinese ownership. But despite the law, the administration has kept pushing back that deadline.
We have a framework for a TikTok deal. The two leaders, President Trump and Party Chair Xi, will speak on Friday to complete the deal, but we do have a framework for a deal with TikTok.
All right, CNN's Elena Trine is at the White House. Any idea what this framework for the deal is?
Well, we're still waiting for it, and we definitely heard Scott Bessent try to play it off and say he can't share any of the details, but that the commercial aspects of the deal have been agreed to. Of course, we have to see what the president and Chinese President Xi Jinping say on Friday, because really what we heard from both Bessent and the United States Trade Representative Jamieson Greer is that it will be finalized after getting sign-off from leadership. And of course, that call between Trump and Xi is going to take place on Friday to do just that. But we also heard more, John, from Jamieson Greer, like I said, the United States Trade Representative. He was also in Madrid for these talks with their Chinese counterparts on this. And he said that the President Donald Trump, called both him and Bessent last night to share kind of what he wanted out of a potential deal. Listen to how he put it.
President Trump played a role in this. We had a call with him last night. We had specific guidance from him. We shared it with our Chinese counterparts. And without his leadership and the leverage he provides, we would not have been able to conclude the deal today.
Now, John, if this deal is actually struck, it would be the culmination of a really years-long process now of trying to figure out what to do about TikTok. You mentioned it, but the president has now pushed back a self-imposed deadline multiple times on trying to reach a deal with China on TikTok to either, sell part of it, divest part of it to the United States so that it can continue operating within the U.S. And this has definitely been a big goal of President Donald Trump's. He often talks about TikTok as helping deliver him young voters in his election in 2024. But it was also something that, as you mentioned, a majority of people in Congress had voted to ban. It was signed off by former President Joe Biden if a deal with the United States on divesting most of TikTok did not come through. All to say, this has been a long time coming. We have to see what the details actually look like, but the president is very optimistic about this.
Yeah, we need to know who's going to own it, right? We need to know who in the United States here is going to own it, which seems like the big part of the deal. Elena Trine at the White House covering all these developments. Thank you very much.
Next tonight, tensions are escalating between the U.S. and Venezuela. On Saturday, 5 American F-35 fighter jets landed in Puerto Rico. The Trump administration says it's part of a major crackdown on drug trafficking. How Venezuela is now responding. Here's ABC's Christiane Cordero.
Tonight, U.S.-Venezuela tensions are rising in the Caribbean Sea as 5 American F-35 fighter jets are seen landing in Puerto Rico this weekend as part of a military buildup. The Trump administration says the heightened presence is to crack down on drug trafficking. It comes as Venezuela's government releases this video it says is of armed U.S. personnel approaching a fishing boat Friday, moments before boarding and occupying it. A U.S. official tells ABC News Coast Guard members searched the boat to see if it was carrying drugs, but didn't find any. In its condemnation, Venezuela called the incident hostile and illegal, claiming it happened within the country's economic exclusion zone, which the U.S. denies, saying they boarded the vessel in international waters. It's the second dispute at sea in as many weeks between the two countries, after the U.S. military strike on a speedboat carrying 11 people from Venezuela. The administration claims they were cartel members smuggling drugs.
Venezuela's been a very bad actor, and we understand that. And when you look at that boat, you see the bags of whatever it is there. Those bags were, those bags represent hundreds of thousands of dead people in the United States.
And now Venezuela is conducting large-scale militia training, civilians volunteering to serve as reservists. President Nicolas Maduro urges all Venezuelans to prepare for an armed struggle if needed. As the rhetoric escalates, Lindsay, there are still many questions about that September 2nd boat strike. Experts have questioned the administration's legal rationale for attacking the boat, and it's still unclear who exactly was on it or where it was going. Lindsay?
Christian Cordero for us. Thank you.